We're still dealing with family, friends, Fidelity, and we will be returning to, some call it Proverbs. We'll be returning to a book of wisdom, chapter 4. And I did bring my King James Version, but I will be sharing back and forth for clarity's sake. So you see, saints, it's important that we're able to meditate on his instructions and his teaching and Torah. Some of us don't like the word law. But we really need to understand what we're meditating on. We really need to understand what we're meditating about. We really need to understand what it is we have memorized, committed to memory. And then we need to understand that sometimes we have to recheck what we've memorized. Because upon further review, sometimes we memorized it incorrectly. I was sharing out of Proverbs last week, and it said, don't quarrel with someone. And most of us, we were taught, that's all we were taught. Don't quarrel with someone. Keep the peace. Keep the peace. But if you read it in its entirety, it said, for no reason. It talked about living next to your neighbor. If your neighbor is trustingly living next to you. See, a lot of qualifying information has been, for whatever reason, left out. And we've been given bits and pieces of wisdom. And it has shaped our worship. It has shaped our study. It has shaped our way we interact with the Most High. Proverbs is full of wisdom, and it's full of wisdom as to how it is we're to live life here on the earth. See, just being able to memorize instruction, it's not enough. Most of us know, or most of us have learned, and it has been shared, to know is to do, not recite. Four, King James. Hear ye children the instruction of a father, and attend to know understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live. Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. Amen. Let's hear it a little differently. And let's see what happens. Listen, children, to a father's instruction. Pay attention in order to gain insight. For I am giving you good advice. So don't abandon my teaching. For I too was once a child to my father, and my mother too thought of me as her special darling. He too taught me. He said to me, let your heart treasure my words. Keep my commands. Keep my commands. Now, King James said commandments. This says keep my commands. That sounds like an order, not a request. Now, again, I need to preface, when I'm teaching, when I get the privilege to come before you, I am hopefully, I'm in the midst of those that are Torah keepers. Now, whether we're good at it or not, that's what we're aspiring. Torah teachers. See, a lot of terminology is being used by everybody, but they're not talking about the same thing. And that's what's adding to the confusion. That's why a lot of us are like, wait a minute, what should we be doing? How should we be living? You know, who should I be listening to? I mean, you know, hey, you know, these are interesting times. Keep my commands. And then it says, and live. Amen. Keep my commands and live. In fact, I think there's a gospel song, look and live or something like that, you know. Keep my commands and live. Gain wisdom, gain insight. Don't forget or turn from the words I am saying. Don't abandon wisdom. Then she will preserve you. Love her, and she will protect you. You know, things are so crazy now. I mean, you don't know. You don't know really what to do. And that's, you know, I'll share this with you. The heathen is going through the same thing. The heathen is going through the same. They don't know what to do either. See, you know, it's unfortunate, but this health crisis has shown us all who we are and who we're not, regardless of what we have said out of our mouths. See, these instructions these instructions are not just words. These instructions are to be implemented in your life, and we're to carry them out. You see, you can get fooled if all you have done is memorize them. You still will make bad decisions, bad choices. Why? Because you're not implementing them. You're not living by them. You recite them. You impress people. But then the jig is up. What do you mean? The jig is up because you make the wrong move. And that confuses people. Wait a minute. Are you the same brother that stood up there, man, and went from Genesis to Revelation? So what you're telling me is you memorized all of that, but you didn't walk it out. I didn't say preach it good. I said walk it out. See, it's easy for me to tell you I love you. That's cheap. It didn't cost me anything. It's easy for me to tell you I'm your friend because you don't need anything. And the sun is shining. But saints and saints to be and heathens and friends of the Most High, you know, when tough times come, who and what you really are, that's what comes to the forefront. That's for all of us. That's for all creation. All of creation is having to deal with this thing. I don't care what you call it, whether you call it a hoax. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, and sticking with Torah, sticking with his instructions. We don't know what to do, and so we start looking to one another. And so you start looking to people that you thought served God like you did. And again, in these tough times, you got a surprise. I have admitted to you all, I stopped watching a whole lot of networks. Every network got propaganda. Okay? Every network has propaganda. And that includes what you all call Christian television. Everybody's got a little propaganda in there. Everybody. And, you know, I know, some of us might have a problem with technology. But I will say to you, saints, if it's used properly, it can be a blessing. It can be a blessing. And for a lot of us, particularly those of you that are as dark as me and male, cell phones, have shined the light on a whole lot of stuff. That's technology, But what we got to do, saints, again, and I know when I say, get back to Torah, get back to the foundation, get back to his instructions. Because see, again, just because you've memorized some stuff, you still, and you're not living by it, that's how you still can end up in a situation that's gray and you make the wrong decision. And so the result that you get is the same result as somebody that didn't know the instruction. And again, particularly for the brothers, hey, let's stay out of gray areas. Let's stay out. Listen, if you want to hang out with your buddies, if you got a house, invite them in, and y'all stand in the backyard. Don't stay somewhere where their businesses saying, well, you know, hey, I know my rights. I'm an American. I can stand wherever I want. Because now you're inviting trouble. Now, should you be able to stand wherever you? Yes, you should. You should. And there's no law really against you standing out there. Why tempt fate? Really, why go looking for a fight? See? You know, a lot of fathers are having conversations with their sons. Listen, man, if you get stopped, they say, do this, do that, do this. You know? You got to have that conversation. You know, and yeah, if you want to pray over them before they leave, fine, do that. But give them some instruction also. In fact, that should be in your prayer. Because the Creator, his instructions is better than anything you or I could come up with. Even though we borrowing from him when we give it. Because all of it's his anyway. Don't abandon, and in parentheses it has wisdom. Then she will preserve you. Love her. She will protect you. Again, you know, don't get so emotional and don't get so charged that you stop, and I know this is a bad word in here, you stop thinking. Because when you stop thinking, you're going to make a wrong move. And when you make decisions based on how you just feeling, because a whole lot of us, we experience a whole lot of feelings. And when you're doing something sneaky, oh, it feels good if you get away with it. But if you get caught, now you got fear. That's an emotion too. The beginning of wisdom is, and then he says, get wisdom. And along with all your getting, get insight. Cherish her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will bring you honor. She will give your head a garland of grace. Bestow on you a crown of glory. That's what wisdom will do. You know, thinking about, you know, back in Exodus when they were leaving. And, you know, they had been through a whole lot of tough, you know, times. They had, oh, man, you know the story. It was rough. But, you know, I kept reading and reading. And what this health situation has done for me, it's made me take a second look at everything and everybody, including myself. And that's where I started first. See, because the bonehead moves that I made in my life, I made them. See, even when I got bad counsel and I accepted it, guess what? I accepted the bad counsel. See, stop playing the blame game. See, wisdom will get you to looking in the right place. And usually it'll start issues with you because one thing we can agree on. One thing we should agree on. The fault ain't with him. I don't care how deep you think you're. I can save you a whole lot of searching. It ain't with him. The deficiency is not with the Almighty. It's in us. It's in us. And here's something else. If he created all that we see, and I'm following Torah, and Lord, I'm going to be militaristic about this, and I'm going to be dogmatic about it, because you wrote it, or you said it, you gave it to Moses, Moses gave it to the people, and I'm following that. Okay, great. Here comes faith. Most would say, well, my faith says if he said it, I believe it, and that's it. Okay. Is that the extent of your faith? Or is your faith so strong that if he if he changes something, God, you can't do that. Yeah, he can. See, faith is more than just if I pray, he'll do what I ask. I guess that's a type of faith. Particularly for what's been taught from a lot of pulpits. Saints, if you don't like Proverbs, I wish you'd get out of that. I'll help you even further. For what we're going through, and for what creation is going through, go to Job. Read Job. Read Job. A lot of wisdom in Job too. Particularly for those that say, oh, hey man, I've been in the household of faith for over how many ever years. We still need wisdom. We still need to know, what did you say, Father? Not what organizations, not what rabbis, not what preachers, not whatever, apostles or whatever, not what did you say? Hey, this is all you. Now we either believe that or we don't. Yeah, see, and earlier I said, hey, this health crisis situation has shown us who we are, and it's shown us who we're not. But the good news is, if you don't like what you see, do an about face. That's another command. Teshuva, we call it. Repent. That's what, some circles call it. Do a 180. We have complicated this thing. Mankind has complicated this thing. Council of Nicaea complicated some stuff. I'm not going deep in that because I have respect for the house that I'm in. So I ain't trying to start another movement. But like I said, it makes you, hey, wait a minute, upon further review, and I remember that, y'all remember that show Dragnet where the guy say, just the facts, please. That's where I am in my life right now. I want just the facts. That's nice that this is what you glean from that. But if it don't match up with the instructions, I'm going to be polite. But I'm siding with the instruction giver for my life. Listen, my son, Receive what I say, and the years of your life will be many. Now, you know that got my attention. In fact, I mean, you know, y'all probably know because you done read it a million times. You know, they was talking about 120 years way back in Genesis. Yes, sir. I'm directing you on the way of wisdom, guiding you in the paths of uprightness. When you walk, your step won't be hindered. And if you run, and he didn't say you had to run, but he said, but if you run, you won't stumble. Because sometimes to use wisdom, you might have to run. Sometimes, not the time, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to take my Bible. Maybe there ain't the time for that right now. Maybe you outnumbered. And I know, we like to say, me and Jesus is the majority. All right, okay. Hold fast to discipline. Hold fast to discipline. See, discipline is not gained through sitting behind somebody, sitting in front of somebody, and they just steadily teaching. Discipline comes when you practice instruction. That's how you become disciplined. When trouble comes, you stay on course. You do the same thing, following his instruction. When everybody else, I'm losing my mind. Hey, no, trust this guy. Hey, no, don't trust this guy. He got 3 things wrong with him. Well, this guy got 6 things wrong with him. From the different networks. And that again includes Christian networks too. And what we got to do is get back in his instructions, because see how he tells us to live, it's pretty easy. Look for the candidate that, as close as you can, matches up with the instructions. I got to pray. I got to get on my face. You got to get on your face about that. And then we make such big decisions in our lives and we don't even pray, because that's what we want to do. We do it and then Lord bless it. Hey, come on. Stop that. See, that's church stuff. That's stuff church folk do. A lot of things in life, yes, I admit, it won't tell you whether to buy an Apple phone or the latest Samsung. But it will give you instructions about how you should deal with your finances. Yeah, maybe you can't afford either, or maybe you shouldn't afford either. Maybe you ought to get a track phone. No, you ain't got to get a track phone. But and saints, we have some challenging days ahead. And we're going to need his instruction more and more and more for how we're going to run our houses. I think about the people that were doing all right and have lost their job. And in America, you lose your job, there go your health care. Now, you lost your job, There go your health care. Maybe you've got forbearance on your mortgage if you own a place or if you're buying a place. And if you're renting, you haven't paid your landlord in how many months? See, all of this, and you know, we about ready to choke each other over a political matter. You know, I'm not making fun. I'm trying to show you when you take your attention off of the instructions, you make bad decisions. And now, let me say this too. What's political is political. What's health is health. What's financial is economic. They're three different things. But his instructions cover all of it. So if you're asked to endorse somebody and you want to endorse them, you endorse them. You know, again, church people like to say, well, you know, God is in this and God has orchestrated that. And I'm like, well, again, going back to Torah, it pretty much spells out what he did. And after he finished forming what he formed, and after he finished making you and me, he gave us instructions. Now, we tend to think, instead of staying with the instructions, now I got to get over in this thing, and I want to drag him in this. He's like, hey, I've done what I've done. And again, I'm on borrow this. He said, I've given you everything pertaining to life and godliness. And, you know, again, the church thing to say, well, what does God say about this? I want to understand. And a lot of times, well, I want the mind of this. I want this and that. And then again, I go back to, he says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. I mean, what does that mean to us? Or is that just for the heathen? See, is that just for the heathen? Because we think, oh, he's not talking about us. And here's another one. And this is for Torah keepers. If my people, wait a minute. If my Torah keepers, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face. And then he said something where church folk will find strange. And turn, which again, that word, teshuva, turn from their, what did he say, wicked? Or did he say blessed? Because in some churches, you're taught almost everything you do is blessed. That's not, guys, that's not what his instructions were saying. You know, I'm serious, saints. I'm not trying to, I am not using the strategy of fear. You've already had that used on us. We've had it used on us. I'm not pushing fear. I'm saying, though, we better really understand these instructions and get busy implementing them, living by them. And that way we won't get caught up in some stuff. And again, I'm not telling you not to vote. I'm not telling you, and listen, in 2 years, for as much praying and fervency that you did, in 2 years, you better be ready to vote again. And see, this time it's going to affect you right local. Your mayors, your council people, do some research. Don't just look at the commercials. Don't just listen to them on the radio, because I can tell you already what it's going to be. Well, you know, I've been on the city council for, and again, I don't even know them. I don't even know the ones in Chesterfield. So I'm not making an indictment against them, but what they're going to share with you is, you know, if they're already on the board or whatever, they're going to say, and you know, I passed legislation to bring jobs to the city. All the politicians, everybody running for some kind of office, they always promise you jobs. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, what businesses do you own? And that includes the presidents. I'm like, everybody telling you, I'm going to bring jobs. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And again, folks, that is a hard job. That is a very, very, very hard job. Really, it's a hard job. Whether the person is in there that you like or not, it's a hard job. It's a hard job. It's difficult. I mean, man, they are bombarded. I mean, and we don't, us ordinary people, we don't know a half of what the stuff that come across their desks. Regardless of what party that's a tough job. Stay with his instructions. Get back in it, reread it, reread it, reread it, reread it, reread it. And as you read it, it's going to read you. And you know, let's stop fooling ourselves. Let's stop playing church games. I mean, for real, you know, I said let's. Let's includes me too. Again, y'all know by now I ain't one of them you preachers. You got to do this and you got to do that. I'm like, what you going to do, Elmo? Hold fast to discipline. Don't let it go. Guard it, for it is your life. It's your life. Then he says in 14, don't follow the path of the wicked or walk on the way of evildoers. Again, a lot of us believers, people want, hey, it's time to vote. Hey, can I come to your church? Hey, will you endorse me? Because if you endorse me, they thinking, see, because politicians are in the book of Numbers. Listen, they are, and I said they, I didn't say a particular party. I didn't say a particular party. I didn't, and that includes the independents. They want votes. Does that make them evil? No, it don't. It just makes them a part of government. Again, keep things where they are. Don't put governmental issues in with health issues. Health issues, treat with health solutions. Financial issues, treat with economic answers. But see, we're lazy because we want God to fix everything. Oh, Lord. Come, Lord. I mean, that's us. And he's saying, hey, I've given you instructions. You read them, you can recite them, you impress one another with them. But when are you going to start doing them? I imagine it's like that. He's probably not as gruff as me. But again, when I go back to Torah, he a whole lot rougher than me. I was talking with another Torah keeper. And I said, you know, in reading this thing, I said, sometimes I feel like he just he ain't nobody friend. Oh, he loves us. He loves us. He does. But it appears, and some people would probably have a problem with this because you're attributing some human faculty to the Most High. And yeah, I am. When he caused the flood, would you say maybe he was maybe just a little bit upset? You know, see, even the way that we've been taught about, most of us think about some probably gray-haired type of being with maybe a beard and maybe a light over his head, sitting there, now, children. I mean, that's the way we've been taught. Don't do that. Ask some of those people that said, all that you say, that we will do. All that you say, that we will do. They were Torah keepers. At least initially that's what they said. And really, when you get back into, again, Torah, and then you use some reference material, it said at first what? He wanted to talk to them all. Remember that? In fact, he was so serious about it, he said, listen, those of you that's got spouses, don't y'all get busy the night before, because you coming before me. And I don't want your mind on, oh, ain't he so, and ain't she so. He didn't want your mind on that. And see, right there, that's where I got my me and you mentality. You all have heard me say, leave me and you at home when you come here. And here it's about us. It's about we. Under the guise of how we're taught the scriptures. See, because me and you is in conflict with us. Because us ain't trying to follow me and you. That'll clear up a whole lot of little skirmishes that's going on. Oh yeah, somebody with a me and you mentality is trying to make their me and you here. It ain't gonna happen. It's just not, it's not gonna happen in any of the houses. Except your house. And I'm not being mean, and I'm not against whatever. No, I'm not, no. Expand your thinking. And I'm not saying that like I've told you I ain't deep. I've told you I'm a crybaby. But I also share with you, I cry and complain to the one that can do something about it. I don't want to add to your misery. And right now, and that's the thing. Again, in the scriptures, we read where it said, and, when he got upset, he scattered them to the four corners. Remember? You remember that? And I'm saying, well, and I've said in times past, and last week, I hope nobody misunderstood. I wasn't poo-pooing America. I wasn't. But I was very serious. America is not heaven. And America don't run heaven. I know that's hard for some of us to believe because we think our religious leaders, are on his council. I mean, but what I was saying was, and I've been sharing this, particularly when we get together and we start complaining. And I said to you some time ago, and I'm going to say it again because it's true. He could have sent us somewhere worse. I'm not negating the ugly history. I'm not. But we make up 1/4. We make up one corner. We got brothers and sisters in 3 other corners. Maybe they're in a place where they don't get to vote. Maybe they're in a place where they don't have 3 and 4 vehicles, eating steak every other day, and some of you still sneaking eating ham. They don't get to go to the beauty parlor and run your mouth, or to the barbershop, bumping your gums. They don't have 15, 20 different outfits. And we complain, oh, Lord, we just having such a hard time. And I said it because he's still taking care of us. Yeah, he's upset with us, but he's still taking care of us. Even when he took them out of Egypt. What? A pillar of cloud by day, because that sun was hot. Fire by night. You could still see where you was going. Lord, I'm hungry. Well, see, you done brought us out of here just to kill us. All right, here's something. You thirsty? Speak to the rock. I'll quench your thirst. He was still taking, yes, they was coming out of something, but he was still providing. And folks in America, he's still providing. And we kind of ought to be ashamed of ourselves, some of the stuff that we done complain about and snide remarks we done made. And here's the clincher. You can leave. Let me say that again. You can pack your crusty bags and leave. You don't have to stay here now. Hey, nobody's going to kill you or kill your family if you leave. Sometimes we need to think about, hey, somebody else probably got it a little tougher than me. But see, we have, again, assimilated so we feel just as entitled as the people we complain about. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. And again, I'm not saying everything's perfect here. I was in some friend's place, and we were discussing this very thing. They live in a palatial estate. Man, you'd have thought they were living under a bridge. And I set them up. Yes, I did. I let everybody say what they had to say. And I went there because they invited me there. I didn't go there to force feed Torah. I didn't go there for that. I was invited there. And, you know, people asking you, well, why this and why that? I'm like, hey, man, I ain't create nothing. I don't even have children. What are you asking me for? But I'm telling you, people are looking for answers. And I didn't, you know, it was friendly. It wasn't confrontational, okay? But again, it was like, hey, guys, let's re-look at our situation. Yes, it's not like we would like, but it's not as bad as we're complaining about either. And it got as quiet then as it is in here now. And again, please, I only pointed that out because that's what I've been reading. That's what I've been studying. It wasn't like, oh, and I came in and, you know, no, stop that. That didn't happen. It wasn't like that. It was a group of people that served the Most High. They all go to different places of worship, wondering, well, what's next? What's next? People are concerned. People are concerned, and you should be concerned. See, because once they get this health situation dealt with, then they need to tackle the economic situation. And see, now, that again, just like this health thing, is affecting believers and non-believers. This economic thing getting ready to affect believers and non-believers. Some of us up in here, we need a stimulus check. No, and no, I'm not, I'm serious. I'm serious. I don't know. And let me say this. I'm not asking because I got a pocket full of money. But your mind said, well, you better stop asking people. He said, because when you start asking questions, you getting involved. I said, well, man, you got to ask. Because, see, we always say we love each other. Isn't that what we say? Yeah, see, that's easy. Donnie, I love you, bro. But don't need nothing. I love you, bro. But don't expect me to have respect for you. You just have respect for me. But I love you. See, that's not love. That's not love, folks. No, it's not pleasant right now. It's not pleasant for any of us. We are COVID fatigue. We're hoax fatigue. We're politically fatigued. And we are economically, we ain't poor, we broke. And there is a difference. See, you can be broke because you might not have $10 in your pocket. But if you get to the bank and you got a bank card, you can remedy that situation. Maybe. Or you know $10 is going to be deposited when you get your check. But poor, man, hey, you don't know where it's coming from. And again, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to move on. being poor in America is a whole lot better than being poor in, and you just put the other, you pick the country. You pick the country. So again, I'm just saying that so that maybe the next time we start complaining and saying things, we realize, well, no, it's not like I know I ain't in heaven yet, whatever that is. But it's somebody's a little worse off than me. And then as you continue studying Torah, maybe you can't buy 4 loaves of bread, but you can buy 1 loaf and then you can share. Because see, some people can't even afford 1 loaf of bread. These instructions weren't given just for him to have something to say. And again, going back, and I know it seemed like I'm jumping all around, the people were all there, and he started to, it was written, or it was suggested in the writings, that when he started talking to them, what the people heard was lightning and thunder, and it scared them. And some of them took off running. And in the stuff I was reading, it said some of the messengers, we call them angels, some of the messengers, and I'm calling them messengers for a reason. Messengers is a better fit in Torah. Angels is what we've been given by somebody else. But messengers, the messengers had to go get them. And I'm still in Torah now. I haven't left. And so the people said, well, hey, Moses, look, man, you go talk to the big guy. Man, he scared me. That's how, I'm paraphrasing, of course. But they say, hey, he frightens us. It sounds like he angry with us. You hear proper. You go talk to him. And, again, Moses is one of the few that have been documented that it's believed as if it were, which he really probably didn't, talk to him face to face. Now, they had a lot of conversations. They had a lot of back and forth. They had a lot of volleying back and forth. And then when he asked him, well, who shall I say sent me? That's another thing we messed up. And then, he did. He said, I want to see you. I want to see you. I want to see you. And what? Y'all know, put him down in the cleft of a rock. That should speak volumes to us. They had a real relationship. And guess what? We can have pretty close to the same. We can have pretty close to the same, even during what people call a pandemic. I'm going to close now because Reggie's up there looking rather sternly at me. saints, we can have the same relationship. But, guys, we got to know the rules. We need to know the do's and don'ts. We you know, and don't change them. Please don't, no. Well, but see, Brad, the way I can understand it, if I just, no, don't do that. You can't improve on imperfection. Every time we try to improve on something, it falls flat. Thank you for tolerating me. And I do pray that something I said today or something that I was given to say will help you get to tomorrow. God bless you.